people. Thank you for being a part of the third episode of Read Along with Frank. Today we have with us Miss Atima Mankotia, who boasts of wearing several hats. She, as a teacher, teaches as a human resource management and communication at a business school in Delhi. She takes pride in being a student of PhD. The most colorful hat that she wears is of an author of Staring at a Square Moon and Better Than Sex, which both are published by Readomania. I must tell you, Better Than Sex is one of my best reads of 2021, though I'm a little late in reading that. She is known to use humor effectively to address crucial issues. It's like taking a bitter medicine with a spoon of honey. We are happy to have Atima drive us through the journey of Better Than Sex. Welcome, Atima, to be our driver today, and we are happy to be a part of your journey. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to this session and talking to all the viewers about my book and about life in general.
So, Atima, one question that has been on my mind since the day I picked up Better Than Sex is that, that looks are deceptive. That is so true with the title of your book, Better Than Sex. It can easily pass on as a romantic novel, but it is not. How and why did you choose such a contradictory name?
Let me give you an anecdote, or rather an incident to maybe that will answer your question. When we launched this book, we had over 100 people in the audience of both genders and age groups from 20s to the 60s. And the moderator of the session was my publisher, Mr. Dipankar Mukherjee. And he started the session by asking everybody what did they think was better than sex. And we got a lot of very interesting answers, ranging from reading a good book, watching a great movie, the sunset, the sunrise, walk on a beach, and some of the top things that were about food, a hot cup of coffee, and people spoke about Better Than Sex, a pastry, gulab jamuns, and things like gajar ka halwa. So, and it's the same kind of answer I got, when I posted this question on my Facebook page. So, and interestingly enough, not one person ever said love or romance was better than sex. Nobody ever said that. So personally, I actually didn't think that the title, had anything to do with romance or love. And I wanted the title to, pique the curiosity of the readers, that what could this be about? What could, be better than sex? I wanted a title which had a little bit of a mystery, a few layers. And if you read my book, what I've actually written about, which is a bit tongue-in-cheek, is actually better than sex. It's a feeling that all of us can identify that is better than sex. So I thought it was a title which was very apt. So that's why I chose it.
And I think you have truly succeeded in telling people what could be much better than sex. I wanted to ask another question is, words are mightier than swords. So do you think humor or hasya rasa is more powerful than any other rasas? And can it effectively address the issues that we want to talk about and leave a mark on the readers like you have done in your book?
Well, I wanted to talk about a lot of social issues, social attitudes and practices that, we have in our daily lives, which we kind of ignore and we don't take it seriously because they seem unimportant. But when we add all these little things, practices, attitudes together, it creates quite a strong narrative, which is, not a very positive narrative in terms of gender roles, in terms of relationships, in terms of sexual preferences. So I wanted to raise those issues. And the fact is, why I used humor, see, nobody likes being preached at. Everybody likes to, hear interesting things. Uh, so humor is a good tool. And if you look at in the last few years, look at all the stand-up comedians that have become so popular. They are all raising social issues. They are talking about political issues and so many other issues. And I think they've managed to, create awareness. They're able to provoke people to think about a lot of issues and maybe bring about a little bit of a behavior change. Even the spiritual gurus, if you hear them, they are also using storytelling and humor to spread their message. So I thought, I should not be preachy. I do want to reveal a few, suggest to people that there are few things in society that we tend to consider insignificant, unimportant. But if we look at them carefully, they are something that we can very easily discard. So I wanted to, use satire. So I've used humor, I've used sarcasm, I've used irony to create a social satire, which I thought would be a good tool to get my message across.
And I think you've done it so well. You have told, but still you have not told. So I think, and every page just makes you laugh. So it's truly a very well written book. The novel, though, is not a upright feminist book, but you have women character at the center stage with strong attitude, each one different from the other. So do you relate to any of these, one character from the story, and which one and why?
Well, let me divide my answer into two parts. First is women being center stage of my novels. The fact is, I love writing about women. I'm a woman myself, and as a woman, I think I understand women, and I'll be able to do justice to telling their stories in a more deep and in a more interesting manner. And I'm able to dig deep into their psyche and tell better stories because I know what women are like and what they think from my own personal experience. Secondly, I think that women are very interesting. They are multi-dimensional. They have multi-layers because they play contradictory roles in their lives. They are mothers, they are wives, they are sisters, where they need to be soft and caring and sensitive. And then there are professionals when they need to be cutting edge and authoritative. So that makes women very interesting and multi-layered. So I think they make very interesting characters to write about. And finally, I think we need as women authors to bring women characters into mainstream fiction and literature. There is actually a gender imbalance. If you look at the literature over the years, it's mostly male characters. There are female characters also, but by and large, there are male characters in most of the books that win awards and which are well known. So we also need to write about women which have a universal appeal. We should not just be writing, women writing about romance and only women reading it. So we need to tell stories about women which are, more universal, which people can read. So that is my one thing about why I write, bring women to the center stage. Second part, well, if is there any particular character I identify with? Frankly, I can't say I identify with any one character. Maybe there are different shades of characters that I identify with and I like. What I have tried to create here is, women who are real. They're women who are not perfect. They're women with flaws. They are like you and me, but most of them are likable women because nobody is perfect. So that is what I've tried to do. But yes, one character that is really special for me is that of Roop. She's authoritative, she's strong, she is very, very empathetic, and everybody listens to her. She's a very strong woman, and I hope we have more women like that in the world, though, of course, she's in a more traditional setting than these days. But yeah, she's a favorite character, a special, like an ideal woman for me.
So, like it is said, she's like a wicked fairy. And truly,
Well,
this
yes,
book,
yes.
and truly, this book, every actress in today's world would like to be a part of. So I hope one day we see a movie of Better Than Sex.
Absolutely, absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, I do hope it could be made into a film or a short film. I don't know. I mean, keeping my fingers crossed.
Yes. The story happens in a bus journey of a timeline of 8 to 10 hours, where you have shown characters meditating about their relationship, and you have so sensitively and effectively handled human emotion and relationship, where there's no right and wrong. There is just a flow of emotions and desires, and it passes on just as a human nature. Do you think in real life such relationship can be easily passed out without any judgment?
The fact is, we live in a very judgmental society. We judge everybody and everything. We judge people on their appearance. We judge people on the clothes they wear. We judge people on, their relationships. So let me talk about a few judgments that we do all the time, and all of us enjoy doing it. Like in the newspaper, in the last week of the year or early week, you see, top 20 breakups of Bollywood, top 20 marriages of Bollywood. So you think stuff like that, you read stuff like that, when we all devour it, we digest it, and we enjoy it. So we are a judgmental society. We look at Katrina Kaif marrying Vicky Kaushal, who's a few years younger than her, and we judge her. We judge
The
about
most,
what clothes she wears.
sorry, the most talked about topic of 2022 now.
Exactly. Then we had judged Priyanka Chopra for marrying Nick Jonas. We had even judged Kareena Kapoor and Saif Ali Khan for, the name they kept for their son. We judge Karan Johar on his sexual preferences. Of course, he's a smart man, and he's started joking about himself and his sexual preferences openly. So, just to take away the judgment. And it's not just the Bollywood and the celebrity world. Look at our I just recently read 2 days back that one candidate who stood for from the Congress party in Hastinapur, her name is, I think, Archana Gautam, and within a few hours of her announcing her candidature, pictures of her in a bikini cropped up on the internet. Because, and we are judging her, saying that she wore bikini because she was in some beauty pageant, and she's not suitable to, be a candidate in a holy ancient city. So yes, we are a very judgmental society. I also remember a few years back, which was so silly, that our Renuka Chaudhary, who's a very senior politician, she laughed very loudly in the in a political setting on something that Prime Minister Modi said, and everybody really judged her, saying that how can she laugh and guffaw so loudly, because women politicians are supposed to be very dignified and very straight laced. So yes, we are a very judgmental society. And yes, all the things that I've written about in my book, uh, everybody would be judging them all the time. But what I wanted to convey through the book is that these are not kind of things that only happen in Bollywood and in celebrities, and these are things that happen in every home, it happens in every family. And we need to be a little more understanding, we need to be a little more less judgmental and accepting of these kind of relationships, attitudes, sexuality. And once we are less judgmental, we'll certainly be able to have better relationships, and we'll have a better, happier family life. So that is what I was trying to say through the book, to be less
And
judgmental.
to add to your point, and they still want a beauty with brain. That's what everybody promotes, and still they can't accept. So
Yes,
it's like human emotions and relationships are like onions. Every layer you peel, you have to go dig deeper. And you have to just be sensitive about every peel that you peel off. So there's a
absolutely.
so there's a surprise for you, Atima. I'm going to fire balls of questions at you. Either you can dug it or you have to volley it back to me rapidly. So are you ready for the rapid fire?
Well, that's a curveball, but let me try. I mean, I'll try to answer those questions. Yes.
So your books and writings are women centric. Do you think women are more superior than men?
Well, I'm not sure about superior or inferior, but certainly women are very different from men, and they are far, far more interesting with many layers and dimensions. So, yes, certainly men are very unidimensional, and women are multidimensional. They are certainly very, very different and more interesting.
Do you consider yourself a feminist like most of the younger generation?
Well, if we are talking about feminism as everybody getting equal opportunity and everybody getting equal rights, then yes, I'm a feminist. And I would like to say that people becoming younger women who are feminists, which are looking for equality. But what I would like to see here and say here is that I want to see more men who are feminists. I want men to become feminists and believe in equality of women and men.
That's a big thing to ask for, but I also cross my fingers and hope that we see this sometime. Do you think we still live in a man's world?
Unfortunately, I'll have to say yes. I would like to very much say no to that thing, but unfortunately, we do live in a man's world. And I think all the data that we have in the country of the very small percentage, minuscule percentage of women in positions of authority, decision making positions in India and across the world, which goes to say that, it's still a man's world. But I would like to say here to all the women there, buck up, girls. We have a lot of catching up to do.
Yes, come on, we can do it.
Yes, absolutely.
What is your take on words like man's planning, man's interpreting, etc.?
These words have suddenly cropped up, and initially I didn't know what they meant, but then I looked at them. I personally feel that these words are not necessary. These are simplifying some complicated issue. People are using them too often, and they're using them at catchphrases, and they're using them in very lightly. So I think you by creating these very simplistic terminology for issues that are far deeper, we might kind of dilute these issues. So I'm personally not for these kind of words.
So what are the three things that men are and women are not?
Wow. Well, let me think of, well, men are violent and women are not. And what we have testimony, look at all the wars that have happened in our history, and even now, it's a man waging war against another man because they covet another man's, land, another man's power, or even they covet other man's wealth and even their women. So they are far more violent than women are. Secondly, I would say that I think men are more self-focused and self-centric than women are. Women tend to think about their family and their, other people first, and men are very self-focused. And thirdly, I think men are far more egoistical than women are. Their egos are very fragile. I think women are far too intelligent and grounded to have very big egos.
I think it's also because of the training that we are given since the childhood. So if the training changes, things will change.
Absolutely.
Do you think feminism was our culture and it later got diluted? Seeing at all
Uh,
the goddesses we have.
yes, we have goddesses and we do worship them, but unfortunately, if you look at all our stories, all our epics, Mahabharata, Ramayana, if you look at all our history, whether it's ancient history, medieval history, or British history, women had no role to play. So it was a very patriarchal society. Everything was, led by men. So I think patriarchy was very, very deeply entrenched in our society. Things are changing, but we still have a long way to go. So I don't think it's got diluted. I think it's got better.
Great. Great to hear a positive answer. So do two things that could be different if we lived in a matriarchal society, like in Assam and some parts of South India, we still have a matriarchal society. So how do you think it is a little different from the patriarchal society that we live in?
Well, if the whole world was a matriarchy, I mean, as of now, it's a patriarchy. Most of it is run by men. One thing that would be less would be certainly wars. There wouldn't be any wars. I don't think women would go to war with other women, and I think there'll be far more peace than there is now. And secondly, I think it'll be a better world because all the money that we save and the energy and the equipment and everything that we save from all the wars will go into important things like education, health, and maybe even a lot of fun things. So
Wow.
I think that's what should change.
So one last but most important question. What do you think is better than sex?
Well, if anybody wants to know what I think is better than sex, they have to read my book, Better Than Sex. Only then they can find out what is better than sex for me. But I would like to throw this question to our viewers. You tell me what is better than sex for you, and we look forward to your answers. And I think the top two most interesting answers, we will give you free copies of this book, Better Than Sex, so you can compare your answers to mine.
Gracias, Atima. Thank you. It was a great journey which tickled every bone of ours to think and to make changes in the society we live in. So hurry up, viewers. Write your comments below. What do you think is better than sex? You might be the lucky two to win a free copy signed by the author herself. And at the same time, don't forget to pick up this copy. It'll truly tickle every bone of yours, like it did to me. Now, at the same time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Read Along with Pranks. And give your comment. Whom do you want to hear next? And some of the questions that you want to ask Atima. Thank you so much for being on our show, Atima. It was truly a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun, and look forward to having many more sessions like this with you. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.